Good morning. It's Thursday, September the 23rd. Our top story, the boss of the energy regulator, Ofgem, is warning that more firms are likely to go bust, leaving millions of customers facing a switch to new suppliers and more expensive bills.
Two companies with more than 800,000 customers ceased trading yesterday after the price of wholesale gas soared to unprecedented levels. Our business reporter, Ramzan Kamali, has the story.
Soaring gas prices have led to the collapse of two more energy suppliers, meaning 6 firms have gone bust in September alone and left 1.5 million customers facing higher bills. Those customers, though, will still receive energy while a new supplier is appointed by the regulator, Ofgem. Its boss, though, warned it was likely more firms would go bust.
It's not unusual for suppliers to go out of the market. I think what's different this time is that dramatic change in the costs that those suppliers are facing. We do expect more. We do expect more to face not to be able to face the circumstances we're in, but it's genuinely hard to say more than that, partly because that means predicting what may happen to the gas price. So all I want to say here is this is a significant impact on the sector, and it is something that we're working with government to manage, but we can't make predictions as to how that will play out.
Energy firms have been hit by a massive rise in wholesale prices. They are currently around 4 times higher than normal, and the body that represents them has warned the current market isn't working. The government has promised the energy price cap will remain in place over winter, and it hopes this will protect millions of customers. But from October 1st, that cap is set to rise by 12%, meaning around 15 million households will still end up paying more. Ramzan Karamali, BBC News.
Let's talk to our chief political correspondent, Adam Fleming, who's in Westminster for us this morning. Adam, morning to you. So, if the government's not going to bail out struggling energy suppliers, what help is on offer?
Well, the government is relying on the existing system working properly. And the existing system is that if you're with an energy supplier that goes bust, then that company gets no help from the government, but you are transferred by Ofgem, the energy regulator, to another company that is functioning, and they take you on. Now, the issue for that company is that because of the energy price cap, they cannot charge you as a new customer the full cost of what the gas costs on the wholesale market. So it's not a very attractive prospect to a company to take on loads of customers that means they're guaranteed to make a loss. And at the start of the week, the companies were talking to the government about what kind of support the government could provide to them. Was it something like guaranteed loans to help tide them over, or some kind of grant or something like that? We're still waiting for details to see what's they've actually come up with on that. It's still been a few days that they've been discussing that. Then the issue for customers is that if you've been one of these newer energy companies who offered you a really good deal, you get moved to a new supplier, well, there's a very good chance that your bills will go up, and that deal that you had with your previous supplier will not be replicated. So then there's the fact that all of us will face higher bills from next month because the price cap that is set by the regulators, Ofgem, is going to go up to reflect the fact that gas prices are higher. Now, there's some concerns around the system that for transferring people, that it can deal with, I think it's something like normally about 50,000 people a day, but it's now having to deal with hundreds of thousands of customers. So it's under a lot of strain. And I think the government are looking at ways to just make sure that that existing system is going to survive all of this. And then there's a question about how long does this last for? Boris Johnson says it's temporary, and there's some of the factors that are contributing to the high gas price will not last forever. But then you get the energy secretary and the regulators saying, well, actually, long term, the prices of gas are going to stay high.
OK, lots of things to talk about, and we will do so. We've got Paul Scully. Adam, thanks very much. We've got Paul Scully, who's the Minister for Small Business, joining us at 7:30.
Yes, if it's something that's affected you already, and there will be quite a lot of people who already has, if there are problems that have arisen that you don't understand, do get in touch with the programme this morning, because we might be able to answer some of those issues and maybe some of your worries looking forward as well.
Now, the Prime Minister has urged world leaders to take radical and urgent action to tackle climate change, warning it is time for humanity to grow up.
Addressing the United Nations General Assembly in New York, Boris Johnson said the world is approaching a critical turning point. Countries must finally take responsibility. Our North America correspondent, Barbara Plett-Usher, has this report.
It was not for the faint-hearted, this frenetic trip. The Prime Minister covered a lot of ground. He shook a few hands, conducted a few interviews, visited a few sites, even took a train ride. Final stop, back to the United Nations, where he used his address to press for stronger commitments to end global warming, with a stark warning of the enduring consequences if countries didn't step up.
We will see desertification, drought, crop failure, and mass movements of humanity on a scale not seen before. Not because of some unforeseen natural event or disaster, but because of us, because of what we are doing now. And our grandchildren will know that we are the culprits.
The Prime Minister chose to focus solely on the subject of climate change. He used this global stage to make the strongest pitch he could ahead of the climate conference coming up soon in Glasgow, which he said would be a critical turning point for humanity.
It helped to have an American president on side. Joe Biden pledged to double U.S. contributions for developing nations to tackle climate change. That was a big win for Mr. Johnson, who was determined to cement a crucial relationship that's had its rocky moments. He wasn't able to tuck the promise of a new trade deal into his suitcase, but it was still a largely successful trip that showcased the two leaders working together on shared priorities. And nowhere is that more evident than when it comes to the climate crisis.
Mr. President, see you in Glasgow. Thank you.
Barbara Platt-Usher, BBC News, New York.
A vigil will be held tomorrow in memory of 28-year-old Sabina Nessa, who was killed at the weekend.
Her body was found by a member of the public in a London park on Saturday morning. The family of the primary school teacher says that it's been left devastated by her death and is appealing for help to find whoever is responsible.
Care companies are facing the most acute staffing crisis in living memory. That is the warning from a group of major providers.
In a letter to the Prime Minister, the not-for-profit companies who support around 95,000 elderly people in the UK have asked the government for immediate help to deal with staff shortages. The government says it will be investing more money in the sector.
High Court judges will rule today on abortion laws which permit the late termination of pregnancies if a fetus has a severe abnormality.
A pregnancy can currently be terminated up to full term in England, Scotland and Wales if the fetus has a disability like Down syndrome, cleft lip and club foot, whilst most other abortions cannot take place beyond 24 weeks. Campaigners say the law currently discriminates against people who could have gone on to lead full and happy lives.
Lava pouring from a volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma has damaged hundreds of homes and forced thousands to flee the area.
The volcano erupted on Sunday. Now scientists are warning of the dangers of toxic gases and explosions when the lava hits the sea. Dan Johnson has the latest.
This is as close as anybody's been allowed since the volcano started erupting on Sunday. And here you really do get a sense of its power. It's an awesome sight. These truly are nature's strongest forces at work here, and nobody can tame them, nobody can control them. That is absolutely red-hot lava that is spewing continuously into the air and then flowing downhill. That's why it's been so destructive to the homes, the villages, the communities in the path of that lava. That's also a huge ash cloud that is pouring up into the sky, spreading across the island here on the east of La Palma. And we can show you what that volcanic dust is actually like. It's more like gravel in places. It's really quite coarse. And there is a thick layer of that absolutely everywhere, smothering everything. Because of that ash and because of the fact that the lava flowing downhill has cut off roads, it has wiped through the infrastructure here and may mean villages are uninhabitable. You get a sense of how much heat, how much noise it is generating, and the big unknown is just how long that eruption will continue, how much more devastating it could be, and where that lava flow will end up.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.